You want a Band 7 or more on your next IELTS speaking exam, and this video will help you. Welcome to aehelp.com's IELTS test preparation videos. For more lessons like this, visit and join our premium package. Now, I will be the examiner and you will be the candidate. Use the subtitles as needed. Part 1, Finding and Losing. Part 2, An Uncontrolled Situation. And Part 3, Unpredictable Circumstance and Challenging Events. Let's begin. Welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test, and I will give you instructions for each of the 3 parts. I'm recording this for marking and clerical purposes. May I see your identification? What is your full name? Kay Lang. For part 1, I will ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better and some questions on a general topic. What do you do in the evenings? Who do you spend your evenings with? Let's talk about losing and finding. How often do you lose something? Who can help you find lost items? Did you lose anything important before? How do you feel when you lose your belongings? Have you found anything valuable before? If you lose your phone, what can you do? That is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. Before your IELTS exam, for part 1, as well as part 2 and 3 of the speaking, it's important to practice imagining and coming up with answers. In this part 1, talking about finding and losing, it's often difficult to recall items that we have lost or found. Therefore, we need to think of common situations and common items, such as losing keys or losing a phone, finding money or finding jewelry, just like in the examples in this interview. Make sure to practice imagining and coming up with situations speaking in English before you sit your next IELTS exam. Let's talk a bit about part 2. For part 2, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these questions. Think about your answers. There's some note paper there beside you and you have your pen. You can take notes in this 1 minute if you wish. And then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. I will tell you when to start and when to stop. Talk about a situation outside of your control that had a significant impact on your life. Your 1 minute preparation time begins now. Okay, your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking. Your time is up. I will stop you there and take back the questions. Please put your note paper to the side, turn it over, as well as your pen. And now we will continue with part 3. This part 2 cue card is an uncontrolled situation, which is an event. Part 2 will either be about a person, a place, an object, an idea, or, as in this case, an event. Each of these types of information have specific points that you need to include for clear, coherent communication to get those high band scores. When talking about an event, it's important to talk about the time, when it happened, the location, where it happened, the attendees, who was at the event, the activities, what happened at the event, and the experience. How did you feel about this event? In this case, when you pay attention to the part 2 response about the COVID outbreak in Indonesia and how it affected this individual and their activities and the people around them, you notice that the answer is structured in this way: time, location, attendees, activities, and experience. Practice this when you're talking about an event for part 2, and you will get a high score. Let's talk more strategy for part 3. For this part, I will ask you some questions related to the topic of part 2. Let's talk about unpredictable situations. What are some common situations for many people in their life which cannot be foreseen? What is some general advice to handle some of these situations? How is technology being used to help people handle surprising events? Has this changed compared to a generation before? If a person becomes lost in the forest and does not have a phone, what should they do? Why do you think this? Let's talk about overcoming challenges. What are some positive personal characteristics that can help individuals navigate difficult experiences? Can you give examples of this? Which resources should a perfect society provide to alleviate challenging situations for its citizens? Can you give examples? That is the end of part 3. That concludes the speaking section of the exam. You will have your mark online in 2 days, and you will have your official certificate in the mail in about 10 days. Goodbye. When the IELTS examiner introduces part 3, they mention that part 3 questions are related to part 2. So you too can relate your answers to your part 2 response. As in this case, when asked about uncontrolled situations that are unpredictable, the pandemic that hit society is a clear example of this. So it's easy to make the connection between part 2 and part 3. You can use expressions like, as I had just mentioned in the previous part, or as I was saying before. And these kinds of leading expressions emphasize that connection. They help you to be more fluent, more natural, and more coherent. Make sure to practice this before you sit your next exam. Good luck on your next speaking interview. Now that you've practiced these questions, watch Elong from Indonesia do a good job answering the same questions on his IELTS speaking interview. Keep up the good studies. For many more video lessons like this one, as well as strategies when talking about people, objects, places, and ideas for part 2, make sure to visit and join our premium package at aehelp.com. Use the code TARGET9 for a 20% discount. Click the link in the video description. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. Begin learning for success today. Subscribe to our channel. Click over here. Watch another video. Click right up here. And click our IELTS Hero to join our premium package and get access to all of our videos, practice exams, and a fully interactive course.